I'd like to call this meeting of October 9th, the Romulus Board of Education meeting to order. Can I have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Freya.
Present.
Ms. Buckley.
Here.
Mr. Cooterick.
Present.
Ms. Odyssey is absent and she's excused. Mr. Mikevich.
Here.
Mrs. Roscoe.
Here.
And Mrs. White is present.
We all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I need a motion for approval of the agenda that you have, that was sitting in front of you.
Madam President, I'll make a motion to approve the amended agenda that we received this evening.
Support.
Motion by Mr. Mankiewicz, supported by Ms. White. Do we have any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And now we need a motion for the approval of the minutes of the previous meeting.
I would like to make a motion that we approve the minutes of the previous meeting.
Support.
Motion by Ms. White, supported by Ms. Freyer. Have any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next, we are going to go into executive session in regards to our teacher and negotiations. We need a roll call, please.
We need a motion.
Actually, I'm sorry. We need a motion, please.
I'll make a motion to convene into executive session.
Support.
Motion by Mr. Mankiewicz, supported by Mr. Cooterick. Have any questions? We'll have roll call.
Okay, Ms. Freya.
Yes.
Ms. Buckley.
Yes.
Mr. Cooterick.
Yes.
Ms. Mikevich.
Yes.
Mrs. Roscoe. and
Yes.
Mrs. White, yes.
Okay, there will be further actions the rest of our meeting afterwards.
Please go, Madam.
Yeah, we'll go back there.
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion to reconvene into regular session.
Support.
Motion by Mr. Mankiewicz, supported by Mr. Cooterick. We need roll call, please.
Just 1 second, please. Ms. Freya.
Yes.
Buckley.
Yes.
Mr. Cooterick.
Yes.
Ms. Mikevich.
Here.
Ms. Roscoe.
Yes.
Ms. White, thank you.
And now we'll turn this part over to the report of the superintendent.
Okay, first item I'm happy to report is the teachers ratified contract on Friday. Now it's time for the board member vote for ratification. So you have before you a motion moving that the Board of Education ratify the settlement agreement as presented with the Romulus Education Association for the 06-07, 07-08, and 08-09 school years.
Can I get a motion, please?
I would like to make a motion that we accept the contract as presented.
Support. Oh, go ahead and give it to Cheryl.
Cheryl. Motion by Ms. White, supported by Ms. Buckley. Do you have any questions? We're going to have roll call, please.
Ms. Freya.
Yes.
Ms. Buckley.
Yes.
Mr. Cooterick.
No.
Mr. Mikevich.
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe.
Yes.
Ms. White, yes.
Is that here? Motion passed. I'm happy to say.
Okay. Moving on to item B, personnel actions. Mr. Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Wise. Madam President, there are no personnel actions for this evening.
Next, bills for payment.
Thank-
Papazaglu.
Thank you, Mr. Weiss. I'm recommending the board approve the bills submitted for payment for the following period: September 27th, 2006 through October 5th, 2006, in the amount of $855,000 $853.57.
Motion, please.
Madam President, I make a motion that we approve the bills as submitted.
Support.
Motion by Ms. Buckley, supported by Ms. Frayer. Do we have any questions tonight? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Continuing on, I have a motion that the board approve the business director to open 3 new accounts with Comerica Bank.
Madam President, I'll make a motion that the board allow Director of Business and Operations to open 3 new bank accounts with Comerica Bank, one dealing with flexible spending accounts, one with 1998 debt service, and the other with 2003 refunding debt service.
Support.
Motion by Mr. McCavish, supported by Mr. Kuderick. Do we have any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
I have a question here.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Just a question, Ms. Papa, Chair. Just question, we've never had these accounts before, or have we had them before, or?
No.
Can you give us a little
I'll just give you a little
information,
bit of detail. The flexible spending account is actually our Section 125, our unreimbursed medical and health dependent care reimbursements that several of our administrators participate in. And we went to a new company, and they require that we have a completely separate bank account. So we're doing the same things, it's just it's not coming out of general fund. It's required that we have a completely separate account so that it can be accounted for appropriately. The other 2 involving debt service, one is 1998 and the 2003. On the audit that we just completed, the auditors noticed that the 1993 refunding of bonds that took place in 2003, we were using the same bank account for both of those. And it's required that when you refund a bond, you have to have a separate bank account. You cannot put the both together. Same thing with 1998. We don't have a separate bank account. We included that with another debt. And it's required that we keep separate accounting and separate bank accounts for all of those.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Clarification.
Okay, next we have Mr. Dolan. I know we have a group of anxious people here to share with us about comprehensive school reform.
Thank you, Carl. Last week or 2 weeks ago, we presented to the board 3 significant supplemental programs that were of low cost to the board and to the district, and they were the tutoring program by Mr. Plum, the Adolescent Health Clinic, and the Boys and Girls Club. Tonight, I want to present to you another program that has little or no cost to the board that adds significantly to the district and to the children in the district. That's called our CSR program. We have 3 CSR coordinators. This is the last year of our program. We have Ms. Moore here tonight, a principal of that program. Ms. Moore, did you want to introduce everyone? Okay, sure.
You got to stand in the stand on the square with the
Stand in the
microphone.
box, get the mic.
As loud as I am.
Yeah, Shelley. Let's do
I'm
that.
Shelley Moore, principal at Merriman. This is my school's second
think
year
it's on.
of the CSR grant, and these people are really crucial to how it's implemented. This is Barb Knight. She's the CSR coordinator in my building.
Mic's
It's not
on.
on.
So you gotta repeat everything you just said.
Verbatim.
Hello.
Yes.
20 years. I'm Shelley Moore, the principal at Merriman Elementary School, and this is the second year of the Comprehensive School Reform Grant in my building. These ladies here are all crucial in their buildings for implementing the grant. This is Barb Knight from Merriman, Molly McGlynn from the middle school, Dawn Sims from Hale Creek, and this is Betty Santos, who's one of the teachers at the middle school, who's going to kind of talk a little bit about the practicality of it.
Thank you, Shelley.
Shelley, you're a hard act to follow. Hello. I'd like to talk to you about comprehensive school reform and what it's been for us as a district. I was fortunate to be a teacher in the grant for 3 years, and I was also fortunate to be a facilitator, and I'm really anxious to share with you some of the history of it and where we're going right now. Comprehensive school reform here. Right at this point, we have 3 schools involved with it: Merriman, Hale Creek, and the Romulus Middle School. And we have received a grant from the federal government. And at this time, We have had in the past, in 2002, Corey, Barth, and Romulus Elementary. They received the first round of grants. You've probably heard about them in the past. In 2003, Wook came on board. All of those 4 grants ran for a total of 3 years. So their comprehensive school reform, the funding was available through the federal government for that amount of time. At this time, the 3 additional grants we received last year for the 3 schools we just spoke about, Hale Creek, Merriman, and the middle school. One thing that has been very beneficial to our district is we brought in over $2 million in funds for professional development, for a technology integrated learning system called Compass Learning Odyssey. And what that does is it gives your students a chance to work and practice and reinforce what they're learning in the classroom. It gives a tool to teachers also. And it's also given us the ability to pay and receive materials for an after-school tutoring program, all levels, K through 8, and also to have parent involvement workshops. We'd like to speak to each one of those tonight. The first thing is, of course, the funds that come into the federal government that have really been a benefit to our district, which is over $2,160,000 for all of our 7 schools, 6 elementaries and the middle school. And the next thing we'd like to talk about is the professional development. I'd like Barb Knight to begin that for us.
Thank you. My name is Barbara Knight. I'm from Merriman, and this is my 5th year here at in Romulus. The first thing I want to speak to is individualized professional development. And in your packet, you should see a paper. Looks like this. It says CSR Reflection. It's either the first or the last page. And if you look on the last page of that packet, you'll see an individual development plan. Each teacher writes a year-long plan of goals related to technology that he or she wants to learn to use to incorporate into their instruction. And this particular one is from a 3rd grade teacher, and she had one last year and achieved her goals and has either added goals or kind of tweaked something to make it a little more individual. And you can see there the Smart Board, Elmo Projector, Grademaster, Odyssey, which Molly spoke to, Teacher Vision, and Flash Drive are the 8 that she's set aside to learn this year and use. And you see she's already accomplished 2 of them this year. The rest of it is a reflection sheet that goes over the components of the grant that are required that teachers accomplish each month during their release time. They have 1 day a month where they spend with one of the CSR facilitators, the one at her school, and this is a way for the teacher to keep track of what she's accomplished and reflect on her findings. If she gives a test that has data, then she looks at the data and writes instructional decisions that she's made, and then sometimes adds a commentary as to how that would apply. And the data analysis is there. The IDP is number 2, which I mentioned on the back page. And the other ones, as you go through them, are again all components of the grant that they're required to do. So each month they fill this out. And I keep a copy, the teacher keeps a copy, and Mrs. Moore is given a copy so she can keep up with what the teachers are doing and learning. And if you notice that in the IDP, each of them relates in some way to how to better their instruction. Everything there, we were lucky through the CSR grant that we received 2 smart boards at Merriman with projectors and carts. And now this year, a lot of the teachers have put on their IDPs to learn to integrate the Compass Odyssey with the smart board. If you're not familiar with what a smart board is, it's basically a whiteboard that's attached to a computer, and the board itself becomes the monitor and the mouse. So as a child touches it, whatever they touch is what you would have been doing on the mouse. And it's just a phenomenal array of software available for learning through that. You wanted to speak, Molly wants to speak to the diversified learning.
A lot of our teachers receive professional development, and we took a look at the number of hours that were given to our teachers. And there was over 15,000 hours of professional development were given to our teachers through the course of these grants since 2002 that the grants paid for. So it's just amazing. I think you, as a district, are not paying for that, but you're receiving that to really help your teachers and help the students. One of the things we look at is diversified learning, and that means teaching students individually. What do they need as an individual student to help them to learn? If I'm giving you some instruction, I need to see, why are you getting it? Are you not understanding it? And what can you use as a tool to help that particular student learn? That's a brand new vision for many people to look at the middle school level. And in elementary, we've been doing that for a while. It's exciting for teachers to just open up their eyes and begin to look at our students completely as individuals and take a look at their learning style, make changes. We try to teach great best practices, instructional strategies during professional development. We allow collaboration between different grade levels, above and below, so teachers can kind of join with each other and say, you know, what are you doing and what's happening? I like one of our teachers, Betty Sando, to speak to her professional development.
Good evening. Good evening. Professional development at the middle school has really provided for me some more insight into using technology in the classroom and giving me the opportunity to put it into practice. Too often we're explained maybe a technology item that we can use in the classroom, and after that we go back to our room and we never get to utilize it or put it into practice. And some of the time that CSR has provided for me is to analyze the pre and post test, to really look at my pre and post test and see if it's meeting the MEET standards and strategies and our benchmarks. It allows me to develop items such as using the word webs and being able to use inspiration so that students can use those items in writing and incorporating inspiration into building word webs so that they can write and look at their writing a little bit more clearly. Design websites. Molly has been able to start teaching us how to develop our website for our own discipline. Develop interaction between the PowerPoint presentations and students and lessons, being able to actually have them have interactive lessons where they would do a PowerPoint presentation, be able to connect to different websites to get information, and actually develop a lesson plan around that. Rewrite test questions if necessary to meet standards, and be able to have supporting strategies for the MEEP. Evaluate gender differences between students and the success that they're having on my tests, my pre and post tests. For example, males I found out were not as successful meeting the standards and benchmarks as females, and I needed to look at that carefully, reevaluate what questions I was asking, and to see what I could do in the classroom to help the males be more successful. CSR has provided opportunities for the teachers to practice, to implement and use technology in the classroom to support our students in a variety of ways and reinforce math, language arts, science, and social studies skills in all of our elective classes.
I wanted to add on instructional strategies. Of course, the teachers are using the various technologies that we have, but I just want to give an example of something that the teachers are now beginning to do where they coordinate between technologies. For instance, I mentioned the Teacher Vision. That's a program we have in the kayaks, the computer labs, where the teacher can control all the monitors at once. So if she wants to say something or explain something, she can click freeze, and then it freezes their screen so they can't continue working. We have the projector, just like here. For the overhead, the LCD can project what is on the teacher's computer. And also, we use Microsoft Word, which sometimes we don't think of as really a technology because we're so used to it. But for instance, a teacher was working on an Odyssey program which involved money, where the students had to choose if you said like $82.15, they would choose like a $20 bill and drag it over, the $20 bill and drag it over, $10 bill, whatever, in the coins to match that. And then the teacher would walk around the kayak and be able to see what combinations that the children chose. Then she could toggle back on her taskbar over to Microsoft Word and have like another combination ready to go. So instead of the students just having to hear, $15.42, and then what did they say? She would project the $15.42, and then they would be able to, on their own now, work on moving the money. So she's using 3 components at once, the projector, the LCD projector, the teacher vision, and Microsoft Word. And now with our smart boards, we're even more excited about how we can integrate that. The other one I wanted to speak to just for a minute was collaboration between teachers. Because of the CSR grant and the substitute pay that we're allowed, besides the 1 day a month that the teachers are released, we've budgeted for collaboration days. Sometimes it's just like within our building, like the 2 third grade teachers or the 2, first grade teachers or whatever. And then there's other days where we've collaborated that the teachers from other schools will get together, like all the 5th grade teachers. The CSR schools' budgets will pay for the subs. The other schools are invited at their discretion if they would want to send someone to join us. So we've allowed collaboration within the school and within the district. Thank you.
My name is Dawn Sims from Hill Creek Elementary. I'm going to speak very shortly to CSR grants and what they've provided. First and foremost, when we are using Compass Learning Odyssey, the support that teachers get is very just exceptional, to the extent of we talk so often about the individual needs of students and how we can use work one-on-one with students or work small group with students. This gives us the opportunity to really work one-on-one with those teachers. We have a vast array of experience with the teachers, to the extent of some of them are very comfortable using technology to integrate it into their classrooms. Others are at a very beginning stage. So we're able to address those needs. In addition, when we talk about comprehensive school reform, we're talking about touching all of the parts of the school. So as was mentioned earlier, we have reading first. And one of the things that I've seen even as support is, I had a teacher last week who was not very familiar with doing centers in her classroom. And so we were able to use her CSR time, go and observe another student, get the support of seeing it hands-on, and then be able to go back into the office to continue training to find out where Compass Learning Odyssey could further support her in that classroom. So support is very important. Reteaching, when we talk about reteaching, all of this is data-driven. So as teachers are giving quizzes, pre-tests, observations in their class, they're able to really go through and make flexible groups and say these 15 students need additional help with this skill or concept. And as they do that, they're able to pull in Smartboard or other technologies so that they can pull those kids out and work with them at the level. And then, of course, give an assessment again so they can evaluate that data and do it again. And finally, enrichment. Compass Learning Odyssey has some some components of it that will let students be challenged outside of their regular work, which is, for instance, 4th through 6th grade have thematic research projects, which allows them to really go in and do something where they're taking the components of Odyssey and they're merging it so they have a project-based reality and they're doing things that would be applicable in the real world. So our CSR grant allows us to do all 3 of those things.
I'll speak on the after-school. The after-school programs allowed through the CSR grant. Last year, Hale Creek and Merriman's budget merged, and we had one site at Merriman, and that served the students of both schools and anyone who was at the Boys and Girls Club, also from Barth. We determined that really the Hale Creek students weren't being serviced adequately because of the travel distance for students who were not in the Boys and Girls Club. So this year, each school is having their own program. And Merriman started on October 2nd. And in the tutoring program, we're using the Compass Odyssey and using that to help diagnose and create a learning path. And also, we have small groups. We have 3 adults in there, 1 certified teacher and 2 assistants, and they work with one set of age. So one teacher will work with 1st and 2nd, another with 3rd and 4th, and another with 5th and 6th. So it's a combination of the computer learning and the individual instruction as the teachers see what they need, whether it's hands-on manipulatives or just further work with the child. Thank you.
The middle school has been fortunate to have an after-school program too. And one thing that we strive to do is to find what needs students had. Certain students have a hard time with fractions or percentages or ratios. We put them in small groups. We worked a lot with the classroom teacher to find out, are they getting that concept? How are you teaching in the classroom? We want them to piggyback on what they're doing and use the same terminology but find another way to teach, a different strategy to give them that same small group instruction, support them with a little homework help also, and then go back and practice again on the computer. So we like to use that model for our middle school, after school. In our parent involvement component, right this time, one of our is going to speak on it.
Our parent involvement component comprises of a lot of things, or is comprised of a lot of things. One, Compass Learning Odyssey does provide different workshop activities that are already made and that you can present to parents. That should tie into informing them of what's going on in the school, communicating ways that they can be helped at home. In addition, though, we have the ability to really merge with other groups. For instance, last year, we were able to join Reading First as they did their kindergarten, first, second, and third grade open houses. And during that time, though it was focused on Reading First, we were able to highlight the Compass Learning Odyssey program so that parents were able to use it for their kids at home. Specifically kindergartners, and you have a blue sheet in your packet, kindergartners were able to get on before this school year so they could start working on initial letters, initial sounds, initial numbers. So it was a wonderful program. One of the things that we try to do is to make sure that we can increase the awareness of this being a web-based program so that parents can use this with their students at any time at home. Thank you.
One of the,
Like it's time.
I'm just thinking about if you want a program to work, you get three passionate people like these folks, and anything's going to work. On a downside, that we didn't talk to Don and I think Barb and Molly. They tried to pilot the summer program online. It was we tried to connect with parents during the summer. You want to give us a quickie about how disappointing that was? I mean, there are downsides, and these three folks tried to do something innovative this summer, and it just didn't work.
Absolutely. Yes, we did. We want to always make parents aware of the programs. It is something that they can access at home. And so as we inform parents of this and really modeled how they can use this at home, we had several parents sign up to do the program. And we set standards so that we could reward them when they return to school in the fall, whether it was using pool parties or pizza parties, so on and so forth. And unfortunately, I know with my school, none of the students who signed up were able to meet that goal. It kind of phased out. So it was really something that, for the parents to use, though a good program and very encouraged initially, did not pan out.
Yeah. It talks a little bit about the importance of the human being involved in the technological process, and they really worked hard to set up an extension program this summer, and it didn't work. The whole deal is, does it work? This is a report from the CRAL called Learning Points, and it's based out of Chicago, and we have to contract with them because this is a federal grant to assess the effectiveness of the grant. When they assessed Barth, Rommel, and Corey after the first 3-year cycle, and the results that came back, and I think I debriefed you at that time, were extraordinary. The results were significant. In fact, the 3 CSR schools scored higher than the 3 non-CSR schools, which were Merriman, Hale Creek, and who else? And Wick. So that's how we, continue to seek these grants out and get reinforced for them. The results of the first grant with those 3 schools were so impressive on a national level that Compass wanted to buy the results, in which we sold them the results, and which we used to purchase Charlie Kidwell to work with 3 schools, and it was for $20,000. But it was significant results. This year, they just finished up the WIC report. And when we talk about promising programs, when we talk about national schools that are above and beyond other schools, this, did you share this did they get a copy of this? I'm not sure if they did.
No, I didn't.
I took some excerpts out of it that I'd like you to look at. But the WIC report, again, a national assessment crew, test results for all Michigan elementary schools across 3 subgroups are provided. I'm reading from the report. While WIC Elementary started well below the state percentage of students meeting proficiency standards in all reported subgroups in the baseline, the school outperformed all reported subgroup percentages in 2004-2005. As an example, while 54.8% of economically disadvantaged students attained proficiency on grade 4 English language arts in 2004-2005, 85% of WIC's economically disadvantaged students reached the level in the same year. I mean, a significant increase. The results of the WIC program, and I've shared with Carl, I mean, they're asking to look at this as a national model. It's really significant. WIC is in the process of applying for a blue ribbon school, and we hope that they get it. They certainly deserve it. If they get it, they would be our 2nd school in the last 5 years to get a blue ribbon school, and that's a significant distinction. I say this only, the program works. What these ladies have talked to and about, I think, is much, given the professional opportunity for teachers, and teachers just think this is the most professional, mature professional development that I think they've ever been provided with. These 3 ladies have been designated because they represent master teachers, and for a teacher to have the opportunity to meet with a master teacher once a month, to sit down and reflect on their students, has made a significant impact on student learning. So we are extremely pleased with the results. We're extremely pleased with the direction it's going. It's unfortunate it's going to end at the end of this year. As you can see, it's brought a lot of advantages to this community and to our teachers, but I'm extremely proud of the facilitators, and the results are just significant. If you want to see the whole of the report, I think you would be impressed with it. Thank you.
This time, we'd just like to go to just tell you where we are now. Thank you for being so patient with us. We wanted to give you an overview of the history of it. The Comprehensive School Reform Grant now has changed. We have 3 of us that are left in our final year. Could you advance the slide up for just a moment? Thank you. And what we are looking at is how we analyze data to really help target our students and see what they need. These 3 schools, Hale Creek, Meriden, and Romulus Middle School, are still working on that. And we just look at a lot of different data. Our kids take a lot of different kinds of tests. Why do we give them those tests if we're not going to look at how they do after we give them those tests? So one of the first things we examine is the pre-test we give in the fall, and how do they do on that same test at the end of the year? And what kinds of things happen? Ms. Santos spoke to that. She looks to see, well, a lot of the boys in my class didn't do that. Well, why not? Am I not doing lessons that the guys in my class are getting excited about or energetic about? Are they not really, am I not taking something they have an interest in? So we have to look at why we're teaching that and how we can change it. We also look at how we examine MEET data. And we look at to see how our students do in terms of how do individuals do, how do we do in comparison to the state, what can we do to target our students and to bring our students up and to help them. We look at released items that are given out on each test, and what we can do as facilitators to help those teachers see, did your students know this about rocks and minerals? Do they know how to do an algebraic line? Can they solve an equation? Let's look and see from those items that the state showed us that were actually on the test, how did your own students fare? How did the students across the state fare? What are you going to do about it? And that's the big question. We want teachers to figure out what are we going to do. When we're gone, we want them to have the power to go back and make some changes.
Let me just address the examining pre-test and post-test data for a moment. Locally, we do a lot with this area. It really should drive your instruction. So from a local standpoint, Romulus has put in tests at all grade levels so that everyone in first grade is taking essentially the same test. From that, Odyssey supports us with a variety of reports that can be run, including test item summary reports that are very similar to the MEP analysis, test item analysis reports. These reports from our pre-test and our post-test are very important because they're going to drive your instruction. And essentially, the next year, as a 6th grade teacher, I should be able to get the data from 5th grade to know how those students were doing at the end of the year, because essentially that's going to help me plan the beginning of the year in addition to the MEP data that I receive. In addition, we have Compass lessons. In Compass Learning Odyssey, there are a variety of lessons and activities that can be given to students. Of course, we want teachers to be able to use it as instruction. First and foremost, because that instruction is interactive for kids. The kids sit in front of it and are very excited because it's like TV. They're getting instruction, they're getting connections to the real world. If they're working on fractions, they're seeing pizzas, they're seeing it move around. And then when you add into that the power of being able to move things with smart boards, so on and so forth, it's going to be things that students are going to remember when they go home or when they go to the store. But in addition, the powerful piece in Odyssey is that if you give students an assignment, you can then, as a teacher, pull up the data to be able to look and see whether those kids are mastering those concepts.
We often wonder why kids don't do very good, and we don't want to cut their legs off or make them sit up there and not be able to survive like Homer didn't. We just want to know why they're having difficulties with concepts and what we can do individually as instructors and teachers, and that's our goal as a facilitator, is to really help them, help specific students. And it was very exciting for me to watch teachers when they came in the first time this year. I want to check and see how my kids did. I want to see what they did in 6th grade at the elementary level. We have that capability through Compass to look at their post-test from 6th grade while I'm a 7th grade teacher at the middle school. So I can say, how did they do last year? And now how are they doing for me? That's a real powerful tool for you to say, I need to know where they left off last year. What do I need to change this year to bring them up to speed? So we really want to do some really important things.
This is the big question that we have at this time. As we've spoken about earlier, we have several schools that are finished with this process, and we want to make sure that they're continuing it. We are all in our last year of this process. So it's very important that from CSR we make sure that we continue the data analysis, making sure that teachers are empowered and know how to use these technologies and use data in their classroom after this year. Know that they know how to look at that data and form flexible groups. So all of this is kind of really forming how we look at things this year. How can we sustain the things that we've done, the things that we've done well? How can we change things that we need to improve on? And how can we make sure that those things last 20 years from now, 5 years from now? We're taking a lot of different approaches to this. For instance, some of us, we start out with teacher data. We have them do surveys so they can identify areas that they are struggling in, areas that they are very competent in. And we want to make sure that those kind of things are published for the school so that if a new teacher walks in next year, they can say, oh, these 3 teachers know how to use the reporting system, and they can go to those teachers. In addition, we want to make sure that the things that have to be done as an administrator of Compass Learning Odyssey are throughout the district and very consistent. So we're making sure that we are documenting a lot of the processes so that we can make sure that they are systematic. And then finally, we want to make sure that all of these skills are really institutionalized. So as we go into that professional development, we're trying to ensure that those teachers are able to continue this after this year.
Well, in summary, the top line says it all. We can transform our students, and because of this grant, we've had many opportunities to do so. And the 3 statements at the bottom are all things that we can do and we do. And we are all proud to work in Romulus and meet the needs of the Romulus students, and we will continue to do so in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great report. Thank you, folks, and thank you, Mr. Dolan.
It was good.
Very
Thank you.
informative.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have Mr. Clark with an enrollment update. You have a handout.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Wise. Members of the board, you have in your packet an up-to-date report on our student enrollment. We're happy to say that, as you can see, our enrollment is up by about 38 students. That's significant in terms of when you multiply that by $8,000 plus. So we're excited about that. Also, as you look at your information here, you're going to see that our biggest increases were at our middle school as well as the senior high school. We did take a hit of some sort at our elementary level, and particularly at second grade, seems to be our lowest enrollment this year. But all in all, when you look at it, we're up, and we're just kind of proud of that. Any questions? Yes.
Grand total, is that what we're looking at?
We're looking at the grand total, right? 4,341, up 38.
And at the top of this right now, it still says unofficial. When,
Yes.
when will it be official? I mean, when
I would imagine somewhere around the end of October, we'll have our final
we don't
numbers in.
expect this to change much.
Well, not much, but that's why we call it unofficial. We hope that this is pretty close going to be the number here. So.
That's great. That's great.
Any other questions?
I have a short question here. Reading the paper dealing with another district, and they were talking about their numbers continuing to go up. If after the count day, which was what, the 27th of September, if we got some new students, would that increase our count, or would we not get those students at this point until the second count in January, February, whatever it was?
I think it's more likely the second count.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah, and it's a blended formula, so we don't actually get the money for those students until next fall, but it's blended. It's 75% based on the first count on the fall count day and 25% on the second, so it's a blending of the two.
So all they were saying is that their count is continuing to increase, but the money's not going to increase till second semester.
Right.
Or whatever that date is.
And they'll only get 25% of
Okay.
the value. Thank you, Mr. Clark.
Thank
Do
you.
you have any questions?
I'm sorry. Okay, thank you again, Mr. Clark. See, next we have a motion for a field trip approval, a social studies trip at the middle school.
Do we have a motion for the Gettysburg, Washington DC trip?
I would like to make a motion.
I don't have that one.
Trip.
I'll support.
Motion by Ms. White, supported by Mr. Mankiewicz. Do we have any questions?
This
All
is
in
basically the same trip that they've had in the past several years, isn't it?
That's my
Okay.
understanding.
But we
Yeah.
actually just got a lot more detail this time, which I think.
And the kids do learn quite a bit out there that go.
Oh, yeah.
They've-
Oh, yeah. It's a great trip. It's a good trip.
They are tired when they come back home.
So are the parents.
So, yeah, the chaperones
Yes, they are.
chaperones have earplugs in on the way home, I think. It's so loud.
Was able to do the first trip Mr. McCabe took the kids on, and we had a really good time. I think the parents had just as good a time as the kids.
It's a lot of fun.
It is.
Okay, we need, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. Chit-chatting here.
All right. Next, we have a revision to the resolution from the, I believe it was the August 14th board meeting concerning board policy 7070 and board member compensation. And this is based on recommendation of the personnel or policy committee, and board member Frayer is going to give us a little update on where we're going with that.
Madam Chair, in collaboration with our administrators, the policy committee has met a couple times during the past couple of weeks, and we've developed a policy regarding board member compensation. It increases board member accountability and fiscal responsibility, and I would just like to, at this time, ask the board to accept this revised resolution
we have a motion?
Madam,
Actually, do we have, go ahead, we need a
Well-
motion first.
okay. Yeah, I was gonna do that. You want me to do that?
That's different than the one in your packet.
Oh, okay. Well, sorry about that.
Yeah, you need to use that one, not the one in your
Okay.
packet.
All righty. Okay. Madam President, I make a motion that we, do I need to read this whole thing?
Just the motion.
Just the motion.
Okay. Pursuant to Board Policy 7070 and in accordance with Board Policy Committee recommendation, the Board of Education will compensate each member for attendance of district activities up to a maximum amount of $2,000 each year. This compensation is payable no more than monthly upon submission of the completed board member compensation form to the President of the Board of Education.
We have support.
that.
Okay, motion by Ms. Buckley, supported by Ms. White. Now, do we have any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next, we have communications and expressions for the public. I don't have anything in front of me, so we'll go on to items of interest from the superintendent.
Okay, just several documents to share with you. We have newsletter from Corey Elementary School, along with the annual report from Corey Elementary. We have the updated Merriman Star newsletter. Congratulations from on high school homecoming. Very successful homecoming event this year. My first Romulus homecoming, hopefully the first of many. Newsletter from Romulus Elementary School, another one from Hale Creek Elementary and Barth, and the Merriman Elementary Annual Report. You have all those documents in your packet. Lots of nice things going on in all of those buildings. Great reading those.
Do we have questions and concerns from the board members? Do we have anything this evening?
Madam Chair, I got a couple items, actually. One, I'd like to have a pat on the back for Corey Elementary. They were the only elementary school that was in the homecoming parade, and also they actually marched from the city hall all the way to the middle school. They didn't skip out in the middle of it. Couple things. One, did we get the issue with the student with diabetic needs or the insulin needs over at Merriman taken care of?
Yes, we did. Matter of fact, we contracted with an agency called Career Staff Unlimited. The agency came in last Friday and provided training to the Merriman staff. The parent was involved in that training also. As a matter of fact, we have an additional training planned for October 19th for Romulus, and we're going to be doing the same thing for another diabetic student there also.
The parent was satisfied with that?
Yes.
Okay. And
Who's the contractor?
Career Staff Unlimited.
okay, and the technology committee, I understand a lot of the central office is on this. When are the meetings going to start so we can get?
Alberta is
key.
chairing it,
Okay.
and she's to send out a notice ASAP.
Okay, because I've gotten some comments from people leaving some information on it, trying to get some response, and we
Yeah,
need to
she
get the
should be
right
able to meet
person on there.
relatively soon.
Do we have anything else tonight?
Excuse me, who's on the preschool committee?
Early
That
childhood?
would be me.
That would be you? Okay. Okay, Sherman's gonna set up a meeting, I didn't know.
Okay.
You're on it too.
You think you'll have to do
I
that?
know, I have a question, Madam Chair, for our administrators. Has anybody, well, I know we haven't been, but can we have an update on what's going on with My Friends and Me? How is that going with the supervision, the enrollment? I know we had talked about that we wanted to be updated, and we're kind of at the midpoint. We don't want any surprises. So I want to know what's going on with that. Leadership, finances, all that. Not just me, but I'm
Right.
sure.
Oh, you're right.
I think we can have that.
Oh, thank you for bringing that up.
We should have that for you at the next board meeting. That's a
Great.
good point.
Okay, do we have anything else? If not, we need a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn, Madam President.
Support.
Motion by Mr. Kuderick, supported by Ms. Buckley. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion adjourned.